And joining us now, Democratic Congressman Adam Smith from Washington State. Congressman, first, how will you measure success from these trade talks between the U.S. and China? What has to get done?
Well, I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, it's hard to measure success because you get so many different factors, but the economy is, I mean, the measurement of success. Does our economy grow? Do we add jobs? I think one important measurement is how broad-based is that economic growth. Economic growth is one thing, but is the working class benefiting from it? Are we adding manufacturing jobs? Are we creating greater economic opportunity for people in this country? And right now, we're not. What we're doing is we're creating chaos in the global market, which is damaging the economy. And anytime you damage the economy, it hurts the working class and the poor more than anybody because they have less flexibility to respond to that damage. I mean, President Trump is, as was described, starting an all-out trade war and hoping that at the end of it we'll be in a better place. But the only thing we know for sure is in the short term, we are in a worse place.
What about this framework for a U.S. trade agreement with the U.K.? Does it give you any confidence the president will deliver on his promise to make deals in this trade war?
Well, not from what I've seen thus far, for two reasons. One, he always announces things that don't actually exist. There is no trade agreement with the U.K. There is a framework to sit down and start talking about it. And I guess, they gave the president an excuse to back off on some of the tariffs against the UK. But for him to come out and say, hey, we got a deal is dishonest. They don't. They have the opportunity to have a conversation. And by the way, we've had the opportunity to have this conversation before we started this massive trade war. The U.S. diplomats all over the world are always trying to negotiate better trade relationships. I've worked with Rahm Emanuel, who was the ambassador to Japan. He negotiated several different adjustments to our trade arrangement with Japan, which were mutually beneficial. He did that without starting a massive trade war that undermined the economy. Look, our ports on the West Coast are pretty close to shutting down. Nothing is coming in from China. And the impact on that is not truly going to be felt, except probably several weeks from now, maybe a couple months from now. And that impact is not going to be good for the U.S. economy.
Well, the president was asked about the slowdown at the ports. Here's how he responded.
That means we lose less money. When I see that, that means we lose less money. So when you say it's slowed down, that's a good thing, not a bad thing.
Respond to that.
Yeah, I mean, the ignorance of that is remarkable. I mean, we are getting something for that money. We are getting goods that are, in many cases necessary to our economy. The question is, are the goods worth what we're paying for them? For the president to say, well, as long as we're not buying anything, we are therefore better off, that's just a remarkable statement. It depends on what are you getting for the money that you're spending. So if he views it as a positive when we are unable to buy things, I mean, let's just take aluminum and steel, for an example, or drywall, which we buy a lot from Mexico. We buy those things and then we manufacture. And that's jobs. That's jobs, and it's also goods produced. So if we're not able to buy those things, we're not able to grow our economy. And also, a lot of the goods from China, the household items, people need those things. They're part of how we live. So I certainly hope the president's people have a more sophisticated way of looking at trade than the president seems to.
Congressman Adam Smith, I appreciate you taking the time. Thank you for being with us this morning.
Thanks for the chance, Anna. I appreciate it.